Hello, this is Martha with Living the One Light. So, welcome. I'm glad you're here. And in this video, I am feeling called to speak to various aspects related to a theme of what it is to see and be as the light. And there are so many layers to this that I'm wanting to speak to. And before I begin, I want to say that I'm being called to speak to this topic because it's particularly alive. And the spirit world has asked me to hold the next Soul Wisdom gathering, which will be this Saturday, October 22nd, specifically on this topic, seeing and being as the light. And that gathering is free for everybody, all of you who are part of my Infinite Soul Wisdom membership, which you can join for $22 a month. There's many different tiers, but for anybody at any of the tiers, that monthly Soul Wisdom community gathering is free for you. So if you're a part of that, please join me on Saturday if you can be live, and if you can't, you'll get the recording. And for anybody who is interested in being part of the membership, I'll put the link with this video. I would love to welcome you into it. It's a way that I feel called to make more of what I'm doing available at hopefully an affordable rate. And then if anybody who joins gets 20% off of everything that I do. So yeah, it's a way for me to kind of know who's particularly resonating with what I'm doing or wants to support this work or just wants to be connected on a regular basis in some way. And it's a way for those of you who feel called to be a part of this to do so on a regular basis in a way that's hopefully easy for you and feels nurturing and nourishing and inclusive and all of that, supportive. So that's going to be this Saturday, October 22nd at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, etc. And so I just want to drop into a few more layers of regarding that theme of seeing and being as the light. So again, there's so many things that I could say and that I'm feeling around all of that. But on the most basic level, I just want to start with what do I mean by that? What is that seeing and being as the light? What am I talking about? So starting about 10 years ago, a little over 10 years ago, in the summer of 2012, I had what I would call one of the biggest sort of turning points in my own life around my own spiritual awakening or coming into my own direct knowing and experience of the light, literally. And that's a long story, which I'm happy to share, but seems a little bit long for right now. But it was a really massive opening in me and for me. And then in 2018, I had another, I would say even mega more massive one. And through both of them, over the past 10 years, I was guided into a way of essentially re-becoming the light, right? So we all are the light of the divine. That's our ultimate way of being. And over time, the light of the divine basically opened up my body. And every day I do a set of prayers where I let, I re-become the light energetically and let go of anything that's not of the light, the highest source light. And in the process of doing that, every single day for the past more than 10 years, one thing that started to happen pretty quickly, well, I can't remember honestly, within the first year or two of that, I started to be shown things through the eyes, through the vision of the light. And I started knowing in my body what was in alignment, what was vibrationally resonant with that vibration of me as the light. So I would start to know, I would go into the grocery store and I would look at the produce, and I would just sort of feel it in my body. Oh yeah, that resonates with the light, right? Like I need whatever, Brussels sprouts or kale or whatever. And I got very attuned to feeling in my body what was going to work for me energetically and what wasn't. And so this whole way of being and knowing became much more alive the more and more and more I fully was embodying being the light, as opposed to being more of a in a more I guess you could say three-dimensional, or like caught up in the stories of what I thought I should be or should do or should want, or all of those things that we all have surrounding us all the time. And as I began to see and be more as the light, things opened up in a way in my life that I could never have guessed and never have fathomed. And, again, there's so much more there. But what the spirit world is saying is that there are some of you who are ready for that. You're primed, like you're right there. You're right on the the cusp. Like you're primed and ready to open up in your own way, not in my way, but in your way, to begin to live like that. Some of you listening might already have your own version of that, and some of you listening might feel like absolutely this is not the right thing for you. So, but some of you who are listening, I think, will probably feel in your own vibration, in your own essence, oh yeah, like yes, like it'll probably be some, like, I don't know, like somebody, like God sort of just taps the tuning fork in your own being, and you just go, ah, and yes, like yes, that's that, I'm ready. Yes, I'm one of the I'm one of those who's ready. So I can just feel it. Like I know that there are many of you who are ready and who are right at that moment where this is what you need. And that's the point of the gathering on Saturday, again, October 22nd, 2022, 10 a.m. Pacific, and it'll be recorded. So if any of you are listening and this is after October 22nd and you want to reach out and have that recording, it's always available, and it'll be on my Teachable site. And you can also just email me, livingtheonelight@gmail.com, and I will send you the link. But just to again say a bit more about this. So one of the key components to this is that, again, each of us is different. Like each of us is constructed even energetically differently, right? So for some people, re-becoming the light isn't going to be what you're constructed for, what they're, if probably you won't be listening to this if it's really, really, really not right for you, because this just won't resonate. But for some people, it's not gonna fit how we're built energetically. And for some people, even if they're very spiritually minded, their X, Y, or Z, infinite ways are going to be perfect. They're going to be exactly what you are meant to be doing here and now on the planet, and have nothing to do with what I'm talking about here. But the other thing I'm feeling and seeing is that there's a lot of desire in our world to find ways to navigate these times in a way that is going to help us to not only survive, but also to thrive and to really navigate it effectively. And one of the key things that I feel when I listen to a lot of the people talking about these other ways, again, which can be perfect for lots of people. Absolutely, I don't deny that. For me, speak for myself, and in terms of what the spirit world is sending through me, a component that is absolutely crucial and that I get shown over and over and over again is that both that we don't forget that we are the light, and also that we don't forget that the light is earth. So it's absolutely crucial that we are fully grounded. I've said this so many times, fully grounded as the light of the planet Earth. Boom, in our bodies, connected down into the heart of Mother Gaia Earth, connected into our own heart as the earth as a being of light, us as a being of light, and connected to source as obviously a being of light, as light itself. All at the same time. All of those three things, all as one. So there's no dichotomy between earth and light. Earth is light, just like there's no dichotomy between earth and cosmos. The earth is in the cosmos. Where else is it if it's not in the cosmos, right? So in a sense, obviously there's earth and sky, but actually sky encompasses earth. So similarly, with when we are tapping into ourselves as beings of light, well, we're automatically then needing to ideally feel it, that since we're in a body on the earth, we are also one with, or we're one with everything, but there's a oneness that we are here to be as light, a being of light, flowing with the light of the earth, the light of our own selves, and the light of source and the cosmos, all in one encompassing whole. And when I feel into a lot of other modalities, or even really beautiful ways of moving with these spiritual energetics, I feel it missing this component of the light as earth, flowing as one with us as light and earth, and source, light, flowing as us and earth. All of that flowing as one entity. In a lot of the other things, I feel a lot more separation and sort of compartmentalization of earth, human, sky, as three different things. Of course, connected, but not all literally one being, which is the light. So that's really, really, really key. And I think a big part of, again, what they're wanting, what the spirit world is wanting to move as us and move through us in this gathering on Saturday and beyond, way beyond. So yeah, I mean, there's the other really key component here is that energetically, astrologically, and just, if we use our eyes and ears and look around and common sense, we observe the world at all, even for a second, we know immediately that there is huge amount of struggle and suffering and difficulty and tragedy and trauma and all of that on this planet constantly. And astrologically, the energies have been very powerful, I guess you could say, filled with lots of potential for struggle, and that isn't any less in the upcoming year. So I'm in particular, what I'm thinking of is that in 2023, to be, the date, the precise date, July 22nd, 2023, Pluto will be squaring the nodes of the moon. And that energetic, I would say, is already for me, I'm feeling it already now, especially as we have this upcoming new moon solar eclipse on October 25th, which I made it a separate video for, and you can listen to that video just to hear me talk about that, the energy of that particular eclipse. But that eclipse is in Scorpio, it's squared by Pluto. There's very deeply Plutonian and Scorpionic energies in it, and it feels to me like just a precursor to this whole coming year of Pluto squaring the nodes of the moon, in particular next summer. So when I feel into what is the potential and or the soul level, maybe intention for us all on various levels of Pluto squaring the nose of the moon and this whole very Plutonian Scorpionic energy. Well, one thing that comes up for me is, two things come up for me. One is Pluto as an energy that allows for and invites in us and can even just sort of make happen the experience of us being the caterpillar that gets turned into the goop inside of a chrysalis. And then the chrysalis, inside the chrysalis, we reform those cells that were the caterpillar into the butterfly or the moth or whatever it is that we are becoming. So it's deeply, on a soul level, incredibly transformative. And it can feel like death. It can feel not good. So there's potential for beautiful transformation. And in the midst of that, there can also be a need for a huge amount of letting go and releasing what we think has power to the ultimate reality of what real power is, which is the power of ourselves as soul, the power of ourselves as the divine on the ultimate level, the power of ourselves as source. So then part two of what I'm associating with this whole transit, and is very relevant in this moment that I'm talking, is the whole myth of Inanna. So as I'm talking, coming up on Saturday, actually the day of the same gathering, Venus will conjunct the sun at 29 degrees of Libra. And any of you who are familiar with Venus cycles, which I'm not super familiar with, but I know enough to know this, and I'm really getting called to talk about this right now because it's relevant to this Pluto energies too, is that as Venus comes closer and closer and closer to the sun, it's in what people refer to as the underworld. So there's this idea of Venus going through the gates of the underworld, just like in the myth of Inanna, until it comes to precisely be with the sun, in a sense, at the bottom of the underworld, right? And then slowly she emerges back out of the underworld with the sun and back into the visible sky. So what feels particularly relevant about this for me is that as we are grounding in ourselves as light, similar to that myth of Inanna, there might be layers of our identity, there might be layers of ourselves, what we can think of as ourselves, that are ready to go and that are ready to let go. So in the myth of Inanna, if you're not familiar with it, this, really, really Cliff Notes version is that Inanna goes through these different gates of the underworld, and at each one of the gates she's needs to strip off another layer of her clothing or her jewelry or whatever. And by the time she gets to the actual bottom of the underworld, she's fully naked. So one way I interpret that, or I feel the energy, the energetic of that for us on an individual level, or even a collective level, is that as we're getting, going down and down and down and down and down into the underworld, that can feel really scary. And it can feel really scary to strip off the layer after layer after layer after layer. But what we get to at the bottom of that descent, we get to the sun. We get to the light. We get to the pure essence of the light that is me, the light that is you. So when we're there at the bottom, it's not scary at all. It's the purity of, hello, I am the sun. You are the sun. We are just who we are. That's it. And in the meantime, in order to get there, it's so crucial to be aware of and just letting go of anything that doesn't serve us being who we really truly are as the light, the essence of our own light, the sun as me as the light, you as the light, and of course the collective light, us as everything. But sunlight is really, how do I shine in the world? How do you shine in the world? Our unique shining in the world. And nobody can know that except you about yourself, me about myself, God about all of us. The light itself can know. But I've been noticing in my own life, in my own world, just really briefly, over and over and over again over the past several weeks, many situations socially, and especially socially, but I think probably other situations too, where I just don't feel comfortable. I feel like there's an expectation for me to be something other than what I am. And it doesn't feel good, and I can't do it. And I don't. I either leave or I don't return to that situation or whatever it is. And I feel a discomfort because I feel a need in me, and I'm projecting onto other people. I'm assuming they're feeling something like this, but I certainly can name it in myself, that there are these layers of my self-identity that are not real. And I feel an expectation for me to be one of those layers that isn't real. And that layer is ready to go. So I don't want to do it. And I'm not willing to do it anymore in that way, right? I'm feeling in my own self, in my own soul, the need to just drop layer after layer after layer after layer. I want to be the light that is me with the light that is you. That's on a deep soul level. That's all I want to do. I want to sit in the being of the light that is each of us and just shine together. That's it. Yeah. So And something that I've really, just as a side note, something I've really noticed in the gatherings that I have been having and in the sessions I've been having with some of you, and the conversations I've been having, even the emails I've been getting from many of you, those of you who are showing up in my world through this work that I'm doing, come to me without these layers. And it's amazing. I mean, I get amazed by you, and then, I try to sit with why am I so amazed? And I think that's part of the quality of what it is that there's something about maybe what I'm putting out, the way you feel toward me, but really also it's about you and who you are. You keep showing up as simply you. And I just want to say that I recognize that in those of you who have been writing to me, meeting with me, coming to the gatherings, those kinds of things. I truly, my jaw is dropped every single time, because it's the essence of you that's showing up, and I'm in awe. I just can't believe it. It's so beautiful. And so I'm so grateful that is, you are who is showing up, and that's the way you're showing up. And then that's how I want to be showing up too, right? So, and we have been, and like that anyway, again, it blows me away. Could really almost make me cry. But that's related to the essence of this time that we're in, I think, is, we have this energetic going on that really can be about holding space for us to just drop layer after layer after layer after layer after layer until boom, here we are. Light. I'm just the light that's me. And welcome to the light that is you. I mean, it's similar to, obviously stereotypical, but namaste, right? Yeah. So part of this, getting to this point of being able to see and be as the light, coming back to full circle to the whole point of this video, part of that is this whole stripping away of the layers and going, into the underworld, quote unquote, until we meet the light that is you, the light that is me. And then, yeah, but again, it's not just about being the light. It's about also connecting. We are here on the earth as beings of the light, with the earth, who is also a being of light, in the all-encompassing everythingness of source and of the light of the divine. And the more and more and more we are able to tap into the light of the earth herself, the light of our own heart and our own being, the light of source, and then energetically connect all of them, it just opens and opens and opens and opens us, and we release. We just keep releasing and releasing and releasing so much else that is not needed. It's not who I am. It's not who you really, really are. So I can go, and that's okay. And then I'll be here as light. You can be right there as the light. And here we are, which is so beautiful and what our world needs. Yeah. And then we can, when we're in that state, more and more and more, we can see as the light, be as the light. We will, again, it's gonna, different for each of us, and I'm really, really excited for some of you to share with me, if you come to the gathering on Saturday, or share with me in other ways, what occurs for you when you see as the light, when you actually, if this is right for you. I have my own way, right? But I would love to hear what happens for you when you become the light. Like, let's say if you come to the gathering on Saturday and we go through this channeled experience of becoming the light, and then actually seeing through the vision of the light and feeling in our bodies what it is to be the light. the things I see as the light, sometimes it's always so obvious once I see it that way, but it also often shocks me. It's so crystal clear and simple, and yet often I go, how it's like shocking that I didn't see it before because it's usually so obvious. My priorities when I see through the light, like as the light, which this is what I do every day in my prayers. I, again, go into the state of being the light, clearing everything that's not the light, and then I ask, I say, I am highest quantum source light. What is mine to do? And then I get shown through the eyes of the light, through me as the light, what is mine to do. And so then I get shown various things. And I'll often have been struggling with a decision or not knowing what to do about XYZ, or I don't know, being worried about something, about a person or whatever it is. And then when I get shown through the vision of the light, it's just crystal clear. Not always, but 90 something % of the time for me. And it's just so obvious. I can't understand why I didn't see it that way before. Of course, my priority is this thing, and not those things maybe matter, but really don't. And this is what the boom. Yes, got it. There's my focus. Right. Anyway, I could go on and on about that, but that's more for Saturday. So, yeah, if this is calling to you, if the gathering on Saturday calls to you, obviously I would love to have you there. If this whole notion of seeing and being as the light calls to you, if you feel like, the vibration of it is just like singing to you or singing in you, like it's like someone is striking the tuning fork in your own body and your own being, and you can just feel it reverberating. Reach out to me. I would love to hear it. And if you are wanting the recording of the gathering on Saturday, but you can't be there live, that's great too. Email me and I will send you the link when it's ready. And if you want to join the membership, again, $22 a month will make that gathering free for you and the recording free. Well, really $22 a month is what it will cost you. And yeah, and then I have many other things coming up in the next few weeks. Next week, I'm co-hosting a gathering with Michelle Dench, another astrologer, on the dark goddesses. Actually, it's going to be a workshop and ritual. Super beautiful. You can read more about that on the Eventbrite link. We've made that gathering quite affordable. So I'm hoping that many of you, if you feel called to be there, are able to be there. So that's called Freeing the Dark Goddesses. And then in the beginning of November 7th, I'm going to be holding a really, really special, really beautiful eclipse gathering with Verena Burrell. I'm so excited about that. We're going to drop into the energetics of this eclipse season. That gathering will be the day before the second eclipse, the total lunar eclipse, which is going to be on November 8th, but the gathering itself will be on November 7th. So we're going to drop into we're going to talk about what the eclipses are, what's going on with them astrologically, but also really the main purpose of that gathering will be to drop in and feel our own resonance, our own inner wisdom of what this eclipse season is moving through us. And there'll be a time for sharing about that. And also just, eclipses are incredibly powerful. And like I've already talked about, this upcoming year, not surprisingly, is going to be very powerful still, and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of potential for transformation on a very deep level. So part of the intention of that eclipse gathering is to help us to ground and align with the energetic push or motion of these eclipses, which are, very, very powerful. And the more aligned and grounded we are with it and more intentional, we can just kind of move, like it's like moving with the birth of the baby, right? Instead of like being, if we're out of alignment with it, it's just not going to be as easy. And it's like having a spiritual or energetic chiropractic adjustment. If we just kind of get centered and grounded and clear, we can just let it birth with us. It can be a really beautiful experience. And then also that week, November 10th, I'm going to hold a really wonderful workshop with Vanessa Nixon, which is a workshop called Tap into Your Body Wisdom. And you can read more about that also on the Eventbrite link. And that's going to be really, it's very much in line with the energy of that second eclipse. And it's really about coming into the wisdom of our bodies and tapping into the wisdom of our bodies through motion and through movement. And Vanessa is a naturopath and also a belly dance instructor. And so she's going to be, I'll do a channel guided experience, but then she's going to move us into a movement meditation essentially, but really, finding the wisdom of our body through movement, which I'm really excited about. And also November 4th, I'm holding the next Deep Peace and Healing gathering session. Anyway, you can find all of this information out on my website and also through my newsletter. If you're not signed up for that already, Living the One Light at livingtheonelight.com. Reach out to me anytime, livingtheonelight@gmail.com. And yeah, join me on Saturday if it's calling to you. You will know it if it is. Wonderful. Thank you so much. I will see you soon.